What's up, Meta Nerds? This video is all about the GNK Power Droid, more affectionately known as the Gonk Droid. What you gotta love about Star Wars is the fact that a random background droid like this has developed some pretty interesting lore around it. Take a look at this droid. They look pretty similar, but the one on the right is the EG-6. The EG-6 was developed first by Veroline Systems, and it was a huge success because it solved a very important problem on a lot of backworld and outer rim planets. Because this thing was basically a walking battery. And what it would do is walk around your property, supplying power to all the machinery that couldn't be hooked up to a central power grid. If you could look inside one of these droids, you would see that its internal fusion generator took up almost all of the space inside. A walking fusion generator is pretty damn dangerous, so to make sure that this thing didn't turn into a walking bomb, they had two really successful safety features. First off was internal cooling fluid channels that would run all throughout the droid and help to regulate the temperature of the generator. And if this created too much steam, it had small relief valves all along the body and on the base of the feet, which could let out some of the vaporizing coolant. The other safety feature was just having multiple layers of armor. This made it so that the hull was so thick that it couldn't accidentally be ruptured. And the way that it connected to all the other machinery was through a bunch of different plugs located all over the droid. On the front was standard power plugs, and on the side were larger ports for the more power demanding heavy industrial machinery. Behind one of these ports was a small manipulator arm, which could help assist the droid in hooking up to other things. This weird shape on the side was the access panel, which let the owner safely do some calibrations. And it also had a tiny little port on the front, which could power lights in the home or when out making repairs. And last but definitely not least was a system diagnostic package, which included a spectrometer, an X-ray scanner, an infrared scanner, and a sonar pulse emitter. All of these were used to scan equipment to see if they had any cracks or leaks. If it detected any problems, it would refuse to give any power to the machine. This was extremely frustrating for some of their owners, who weren't able to detect any problems with their naked eye, and simply thought that their power droid was being stubborn or unwilling to work. But despite this mild frustration, these power droids were a huge hit and sold throughout the galaxy, which is where the Gonk Droid comes in. Apparently, the patent laws aren't too strong in the Star Wars galaxy because industrial automation decided to cash in on the power droid boom. They created the GNK Power Droid, which was a blatant ripoff of the EG-6 Power Droid, which had dominated the market for hundreds of years. The GNK was like the cheaper Chinese version of it, and it sold brand new for only 100 credits, and as low as 60 credits for a used one. It had nearly the exact same look, and basically copied all of the EG-6's features. The only thing really different about it was that it made this really weird gonk sound, which is where it got the nickname Gonk Droid. Later, this form of droid speak came to be called Gonkian, and it actually has a pretty strange history. 1 year before the start of the Clone Wars, Grotto the Hutt amassed a droid control army. In this army, he had Gonk power droids, but he slapped a rapid repeating blaster on top. Mace Windu encountered these Gonk troopers and quickly disabled them by making sure that he only removed the blaster, but didn't cut through to that fusion generator. And in what has to be one of the strangest stories in the entire expanded universe, is that a couple years after the Battle of Endor, the Cult of the Power Droids was formed. This cult was made up of entirely what I assumed to be ex-Imperial Gonk droids, who now without a cause, were going around in hordes, banging on people's doors and requesting money for the religious group. A renowned droid linguist was able to help people turn away these droids by suggesting that they should utter the phrase Gonk Gonk, Gonk Ko Kiyanga Si. And to make this whole thing even stranger, he wouldn't tell anybody what that translation meant. And the only cryptic clues that we have is that it was highly controversial, and I'm assuming must have been pretty vulgar. That's it for its history, but before you go, let's talk about these cool facts and some behind the scenes stuff. First off is that these things were really dumb. So dumb in fact that if you told them to walk in a straight line, they would walk right off a cliff and could be seen still moving their feet as they were falling to their death. This sounds kind of funny, but it was a very serious problem for vertical cities like Coruscant and Nar Shaddaa. This made it so that Gonk droids weren't allowed on certain platforms, and where they were allowed, there needed to be handrails so that they couldn't just walk off the side and kill civilians down below. There's also a really cool story involving Gonk droids and the pirate Reginald Barkbone. He was able to do the near impossible task of escaping from the Emperor's royal guards. By placing a mine on the Gonk droid in just the right spot, he was able to set off an enormous chain reaction, allowing him to escape. In the Battlefront video game series, Gonk droids provide ammunition to troops who stand next to them. And if you've ever wondered how they were made in the movies, yes, it really is just a person standing inside of two storage containers with 2 feet sticking out of it. Which also means that there's a huge DIY Gonk community who build their own power droids at home. Well, that's it for the GNK Power Droid, also known as the Gonk Droid. If you liked it, go ahead and hit that like button, and be sure to leave a comment down below if I missed any cool facts, or if you have a suggestion for future videos. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at MetaNerdsLore, so you can see us build Star Wars props and cosplays, along with some other cool Star Wars stuff. If you want to help support this channel, check out the description below for our Amazon store and our Patreon. And be sure to subscribe, because we're making videos like this every single day. But most important of all, remember, never drop a Gonk Droid from a great height, and the Force will be with you, always.